Inspirație zi de zi de la oameni diferiți. 3, 6, 5.
So I want to start by thanking you for taking the time, for being here. And my first question is, who do you admire the most and why?
First person that comes to mind is my father.
Your father.
He came to America, didn't speak English, and I had the first grade teacher that he had, same teacher. Same school.
Okay.
21 years later, and I came to her classroom and she looked at me.
Yeah.
And she said, you know, you look exactly like your father looked.
For sure.
The only difference is you speak English. And he didn't know a word of English.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, he was a laborer. He worked on safes and locks for Diebold Incorporated. And yet, you know, as a laborer, he raised 3 children who all have their own business. And then a daughter who works for a university and has been working for the university for 30 years and is extremely successful too. So I admire my father first.
I understand. Okay, next question. What new habits have you developed recently or in the last few years that have changed your life in a positive way?
You know, once I have a habit, I stick with it for a long periods of time.
Okay.
So I would tell you that I have practiced a meditation technique for almost 48 years.
Wow.
Exercised for the same amount of time, actually more. Since early days.
Yeah.
I'm a vegetarian for the more than the 48 years, so very focused diet.
Yeah.
But one thing that I think I added, which feeds the brain as well, is enough water.
Enough water.
In my diet, because water is 78% of the body. That means 78% of the brain. And I fly a lot, so I get dehydrated a lot.
For sure.
And I really hadn't recognized this until a few years ago, that I need to be hydrated more. So I'm very focused on hydration for the last few years. It changes your thinking patterns. The brain is clearer, especially in the late afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah, more focus.
Okay, nice.
Mm-hmm.
If you could teach somebody a thing or principle, what would that be?
I think flexibility is the first thing that comes to my mind. Flexibility, because change is happening so fast today.
For sure.
That you need to be flexible, adaptable, and then resilient.
Resilient.
So you'll go far, it seems F-A-R, yeah. You'll go far if you're flexible, adaptable, and resilient.
That's cool. Okay. What's one of your investments that paid off?
Real estate, totally real estate. I lost money in the stock market very badly in 2008, but all of my real estate made money.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's slow and steady wins the race. And people need real estate to live in. So I had rental properties.
Yeah.
They all advanced nicely, better than any other investment that I made. Despite the fact that Donald Trump is also in real estate.
Okay. Next question. What's one thing that people consider it to be crazy and you don't think it's crazy?
Meditation.
Meditation.
Yeah, meditation is still, after 50 years of research, almost 400 peer-reviewed studies.
Okay.
When some people hear about it, they go, meditation? You know, like it's strange or weird. And I know when they say that, they don't really know what they're talking about, since I've done it for 48 years.
Practitioner
I'm a practitioner for 48 years, so a lot of people still, they're like, I practice transcendental meditation. There are 8 million people in the world who practice it.
No.
But that's a drop in the bucket.
For sure.
So it's still considered, what? Meditation?
Yeah. Okay. What would you put on a poster that would be seen by the entire world?
We're all made from spirit, and the spirit is a non-material material from which everyone is made. So I would put on it, you're neither below or above anyone you meet.
Okay.
Come from the same source.
For sure. What do you do when you feel unfocused or when you can't concentrate on something in particular?
More rest.
More rest.
Yeah,
Sleep.
rest, and this meditation causes to have a coherence in the brain that's seldom seen. It's the same coherence that Olympic champions have in their brain. So people who meditate for over long periods of time,
Yeah.
change their brain structure.
For sure.
So it's actually sculpting a more integrative, holistic brain. My brain functions more at an age 69 than age 25. I'm clearer at my age than I was at age 25.
Whoa. Whoa.
After
That's cool.
one day of training. I'm still with you right now.
Yeah, you are.
And fairly clear for, an older gentleman. And I'm impressed that you know these questions like that, unless they're over here.
No, they're not.
Yeah, I like the fact that you know your 16
Thank you.
questions.
The next one. If happiness would be the national currency, what work would make you rich? How would you become rich?
In Bhutan,
In Bhutan, okay.
if you look up Bhutan, you'll see that they have a gross national happiness factor. It's a happy country,
For sure.
you know.
It sounds like.
So what would make me rich is doing exactly what I'm doing, because I get to do what I love to do. I'm a learner and a teacher. And if I can do that, I've got energy at the end of the day, more than the morning.
At the end of the day, more energy than in the morning.
Yes.
Okay. I believe you.
Yeah.
What book or books would you give as a present to all of your friends?
First one is The War of Art.
The War of Art.
Have you ever read The War of
Yeah.
Art? Not The Art of War. The War of Art.
I think I read both.
Oh, small book about change
Yeah.
and the resistance that
Yeah.
comes. Okay.
Yeah,
That's a very
It's a very powerful book.
Very powerful book on beating resistance.
The
to-
voices in our head.
Yeah, that slow us down from accomplishing. what
Yeah.
we- And so I had to read that when I was writing my book, because you get writer's block and you need to break through that resistance. So that book is one of the key books that I would recommend. Another one is by a Roman, written I think in year 50 AD maybe,
Okay.
Epictetus. It's called The Art of Living.
It's about stoicism? Or
Yes, correct. You're very good. Yes, it's about that, and it's different. Stoicism is really not understood correctly today. It's a very disciplined, I think, it's a very, very disciplined course of action that leads to happiness. And someone gave me that book
Yeah.
and said, you need to read this book because your book is the modern version of his book.
That's nice.
And I read it and I was blown away I just added scientific research to some of his ideas. But
Some principles
almost
back.
all of his principles
Yeah.
I have put in my book. So I may be a reincarnation of this
You might
this
be.
guy who was a slave, who then became a philosopher
Yeah.
that all the philosophers of that time studied.
That's cool.
So those are two books.
Okay, those are the books. What's one fear that you have defeated, let's say, and what did you learn from the experience?
Fear of speaking.
Fear of speaking.
Yeah. You know, so big of a percentage of the population has this fear.
Yeah.
And I remember I was sent to give a lecture when I was at the university, and I joined the faculty, and it was in the administration. They sent me to give a lecture to parents, and I was like 22, and I'm going to parents and tell them how to get their kids into school and financial aid for universities. I went to it was a gymnasium, and I opened the door, and there were 150 parents in there.
Whoa.
I closed the door and went back to the car. I was sweating. I go back to the gym after 10 minutes because I knew they're waiting for me, and I have to go. There's nobody else. I got to go in there. And so I went back, and really I'm sweating and my knees are shaking, and I'm talking to them, and I spoke for 20 minutes and then questions. And there are all these questions, and when about 10 minutes into the questions, I know more about this than they do. And I was thinking, I'm 22. Well, what I learned is, doesn't matter what age or level of experience you have, or you have to meet that fear, and when you do, you realize you know more about something than anybody else knows. And everybody you meet knows more than you about something that you don't know about. And right then I really jumped 50% about not being afraid to speak in front of anybody.
You started liking it.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
And they paid me for it.
That's even better.
It's really nice to be paid.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, next question. What's one thing that helped you achieve your biggest successes in life, but your biggest failures?
Can you explain the last part of that? About the failures?
To what fact or thing or principle that you've adapted in your life brought you the biggest successes, but your biggest failures? To what thing?
That's a good question. Perseverance.
Perseverance?
Yeah, because sometimes I don't give up when I should. Other times I didn't give up, and it was like success was so close.
Yeah.
Like writing a book. Writing a book is one of the most difficult tasks I've ever done. And you know, you just about, God, I've been doing this for years, and I just want to stop. It's just too much, and then you just push through. And I really learned that as an athlete.
Yeah.
Where I was the smallest person in everything I played, but excelled in all of them. But that same power made me go too far in certain relationships.
Yeah.
It made me go too far in a couple of businesses that failed eventually.
Yeah.
So that's a good question. I never thought of that. But it's perseverance.
Okay.
Know when to stop and when to go. When to continue and, sort of break through.
Okay. If tomorrow you'd lose everything, what would you do?
In a way, I would be happy because I have no baggage. I travel all around the world, and if you ask Petru, my partner, business partner here, he has to lift my baggage. It's heavy.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And because I live on the road, so I have my office, all clothing for like 3 different seasons and 5 different countries. And so it would almost be like a relief that, wow, I don't have to carry around any baggage. I don't have any. And I could start all over and do whatever I want. Because if I'm successful now, I can be successful then.
Why not?
Yeah.
What advice would you give to a younger version of yourself?
serve more, serve quicker. Service was key before I knew it was. Service is everything.
Service is everything.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the best method a person can obtain what she wants, she wants, or what she desires?
Know the difference between satisfaction and gratification. Gratification is science, it's called the dopamine loop. I get dopamine hits from my Facebook page, from any app, from any game that you can play on a phone or a computer. It gives you hits of this dopamine, which is pleasure, but it never gives you satisfaction, ever. But what gives you satisfaction is mission, service, purpose. And when you have those, you feel satisfied. If you're satisfied, you're successful.
That's cool. If you hear the word success, what's the first name or person that comes to your mind, and why do you think he obtained it?
Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela.
I went there when he was in prison to South Africa. He was in prison, I think, for 27 years.
Yeah.
And came out.
A lifetime.
A lifetime for most people. And he came out. And wow, it was magnificent. You know, went to the top of a country from the bottom. From the bottom to the top. And was graceful in everything he did. Was poised, graceful, smart. I have a friend who changed his name to Mandela, black, I'm African American, one of my best buddies. He's now Mandela.
Yeah.
And I said, man, you got some big shoes to fill.
For sure.
Mandela.
Okay, that's the person. Last question. What do people never ask you and you wish they would?
How'd I get so handsome?
Well,
What? They should ask me what the source of my happiness is. Why am I smiling all the time? Because in grade school, the teacher would turn around and I'd be smiling and she'd say, what did you do behind my back? Nothing. Nothing. Say, well, what are you smiling about? I don't know. Nothing. Everything. Anything. Nothing. Everything.
Okay.
Smiling at everything.
Thank you.
It's inside.
It's inside.
Yeah.
You already gave the answer. Okay. Thank you very much, Jim. That was
Thank you, Dane. Great questions.
Thank you.